90 days.
Brian?
Keep in mind that the clunker program applied to only 10% of the driving population. There's another 90% of the population that's not affected or has not been affected at all by the cash for clunkers opportunity. I think it's time for the private sector to go after that 90% of the customers that are out there.
But that 90% are being very tight with their money right now.
Well, we blame them for the recession.
I mean, because the economy, well, it is because of the economy. People are not spending because of the economy, so they're putting off their purchases.
Give them a reason and they'll buy. The Cash for Clunkers programs proves it.
John?
They may very well not want to buy, but there are slumps. We've had an extraordinary boom. For 25 years, the economy has been roaring. We have to let the air out of the bubble. Blowing more air into a pop balloon just postpones the pain.
And Jessica, we should mention that when, we often hear the 18 million figure, I think, which was at its peak, and that was a super peak. So chances are, even if we do have a fair recovery, nobody's saying we're going to go gangbusters again up to 18 million car sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it was not even 18 million. It was somewhere around 2005. It was about 17 million. So normally the past few years it's been about 16, a little over that. Last year was obviously a lot less. This year is going to be a lot less. So those were extraordinary times. We're not expecting to get back to that anytime soon.
And Brian, let me just speak up for a minute. I know this is going to kill you, but I want to speak up a minute for clunkers.
Go right ahead.
I love clunkers. I love those old clunkers. I know some of them spew a lot of crap into the air and are not necessarily good for the environment. Of course, you got to destroy them eventually, so that craps up the environment as well. But the fact is that the clunkers, most of us drove a clunker before we drove anything else. Most of those who want to get rid of clunkers, they don't take them to the auto graveyard. They give them to a charity or they give them to somebody who needs it. To see these clunkers just destroyed and just crushed seems like a terrible waste to me.
You may not be on the front line. I'm seeing these hulks that are coming in, these wrecks. They're spewing the fumes and liquids all over the place. Again, if you love your clunker, you're not forced to trade it in. You can hang on to it. But I'm happy that we're getting this junk off the road, that these cars are not safe for the people
John,
driving them.
My point is that everybody that you support, everybody that the government supports in direct subsidies of some kind, as this is, you take away from somebody else. And in this case, it's the used car dealers.
And what if we had the Salvation Army saying they had to burn all their used clothing? This just screws poor people. And when you talk about the clunkers that pollute so much, if every single car is turned in, I'm told it will reduce pollution the equivalent of 4 hours of driving in America.
Jessica, what about used car dealers? They're not too happy with this program, are they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not, especially those independent dealers that are losing out on the cars that are going to the franchise to take advantage of the cash for clunkers. So the independents lose out as well as the private party. People are trying to sell their cars on the private party market are also losers in this program too.
Brian? Not necessarily. We're the largest certified used car dealer in the country. We're having a...
So you do both?
We do both. And we do more certified used Hondas and Acuras than any other dealer in the country. And we're having record months on our used car side. So again, it's time for
these are not the clunkers we should emphasize.
No, certainly not the clunkers.
He's such a good talker.
No, you are a great salesman, Brian.
You've got to get this junk out of the system. The cars, you
turn to your left. Turn to your left and convince John Stossel, the biggest free market guy I know, that he's wrong.
The free market allows John Stossel to drive whatever he wants to drive. But if I have an opportunity, this is not a handout or welfare, as you said. This is a tax break. This is a tax break applied to people surgically to get this junk off the road that's not safe. These cars don't have airbags. These cars don't get good gas mileage. We're doubling the fuel supply by doubling the gas mileage of the customers that are turning in their cars.
Is that true?
Well, no, we're not doubling the fuel supply.
Absolutely.
Some of the people are buying Hummers.
Well, you can't make an argument where you always apply it to the smallest portion of the scenario. We have the average clunker customer is trading in a car that gets 14.6 miles per gallon, going into a car that gets 27 miles per gallon. That's doubling their fuel supply.
The biggest argument is beside that years ago, philosopher Frederick Bastiat said, don't we create jobs if I take a rock now and throw it to the camera? Because someone's going to have to replace the glass there. And we'll have to pay a janitor to clean it up. That creates jobs. And it seems to. But what it forgets is that the money that goes to the janitor and the glass maker would have gone to somebody else.
And cash for clunkers seems like breaking glass.
No, not at all. In this case, you know, again, when Toyota ramps up the factory or Honda ramps up the factories, each car is made of thousands of components. You can't build a single car without employing all those other companies that manufacture those components.
So somebody else would have employed them to do something else.
No, the government would have employed them to collect a check for sitting at home. We're getting them off the couch, back on the assembly line.
Last word. I don't think you've convinced him about cash for clunkers, but he wants to buy the next car that you have to sell, okay?
Great. We have plenty
I
to
think
sell.
you can sell him a car.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Jessica, as well.